Emilio, how you doing?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing all right. Thanks for adjusting your schedule.
Yeah, it's fine. So, I'm Emilio Ibarra, junior here at Elkhart. Just moved here recently, and when we were picking our people, I saw what they had you listed as. I thought it was pretty. Oh, is she coming over here? Yeah, I thought it seemed pretty interesting and something that I would like to maybe touch on a little bit was just what would you say is your job specifically, or what was your title be?
Yeah, my title is a senior associate AD for the Huskers Athletic Fund and really oversee all aspects of fundraising for Nebraska athletics. In addition to that, I oversee the ticket office and the ticket operations for all ticketing that we do for all sports at Nebraska.
Okay, yeah. So more a lighter question. What year did you graduate from Elkhart?
1997, long, long time ago.
Did you participate like in sports or anything? Like what activities were you involved in here?
Yeah, my family was very involved in sports in and around Elkhart. Kind of grew up with it. My dad was the football coach there for many years, and so even from a young in my youth, I was always the water boy for the football team or was around sports all the time. So I was very much ingrained. Sports was very much ingrained in what my lifestyle was. So I did sports in middle school and in high school. I participated in football and basketball and baseball. Baseball started at Elkhart when I was a freshman in high school, so that worked out well for me. And even ran track, I think my senior year. But very involved. I loved athletics. I love the team. I like just having teammates and growing those friendships throughout the years. So yeah, athletics has always been a huge part of my life.
Yeah. So what would you say would have how do you say that? What would you say made you the most proud to be a Wildcat when you're in high school?
I think growing up in Elkhart, you are you have an ingrained work ethic. I think small town living, I loved it. I loved everything about my childhood and growing up there. Some people don't like the small town effect, but I always found something to do. So I was always busy or enjoying my time there. But I would say I think kids there are born with an innate work ethic to work hard, and I think that's half the battle in any aspect of jobs that you do. Whether you go on and get a job outside right after high school, or you go into college, or whatever aspect of your life, your direction it takes you, I think it's important to have a strong work ethic, and I think that's one thing that my parents ingrained in me, but also other people in the city and around Elkhart that ingrained in me that work ethic was half the battle in being successful.
Yeah. Um, who would you say, or would you say you had any people that helped you influence you here? You said the work ethic and stuff, but is there people that really helped you decide what you wanted to be in your future or
Yeah, I mean, my father was a big influence on my life. He was the athletic director and football coach there. In terms of getting me involved with sports, my mother was always very supportive of everything that I did as well. But so I would say those two are probably the biggest influences there. But my family, all my family lived in Elkhart, all my cousins, everybody. So we were all very involved with sports. So I would say directly my parents, and they were very involved with the high school and the school system there. And people at the rec department. I worked at the rec department in the summers while I was in high school, so I think that was a big asset to me in terms of adding to that work ethic and the leadership there at the rec department and the rec board. But I think I would say my family was the biggest influence, but also the community was so great. And while I lived there, they were very supportive of the school system. They were very supportive of all the athletic programs. The booster club was great, and so all of that combined with just my interest in athletics really helped me throughout my years there, and really helped me to where I am today.
so did you I'm assuming you went to college.
Mhm.
Yeah. What college did you go to?
Yeah, I actually started right out of high school. I went to Garden City Community College and played baseball for a year, and then after my first year at Garden, I moved on to the University of Kansas. Kind of realized that I wasn't going to be a MLB player, so I knew my talent level was restricted a little bit. So wanted to get my education. Looked at several different avenues in terms of what I wanted to do. I almost thought I was going to go into finance and the banking at one point in my career, but just always fell back to sports and wanted to get involved with sports and loved college sports. Loved the aspect of the student athlete and what they provide the university setting. And I just love the university setting. I think when you live in college towns, that they kind of are a microcosm of what the overall campus life is like. They're young, they're vibrant, and people just enjoy the settings there. So I really like a college town, and I've been fortunate enough to live in several of them. But I went to Kansas, had a great time at Kansas. Met some very good people that were influential to me. Went on to grad school at KU as well. And had a grad professor by the name of Bob Frederick, who was the former athletic director at KU, that really influenced me as well, kind of guided me in a direction of going into kind of the fundraising area. I really had no interest in fundraising whatsoever because I didn't want to be known as a fundraiser. I kind of thought that had a negative connotation for a while, but have learned that just being in the industry for a while, that it's definitely something that's caught my eye and that I've been very interested in throughout my career, and I've been doing it for 20 plus years.
So I think you touched on it a little bit, but was there any like a factor that made you like, I'm really want to go into this career, or
Mhm.
just kind of chose it and went with it?
Yeah, I think once I just set my mind to wanting to go in the athletics route in terms of my career path, I wanted to be an athletic director. I wanted to be the guy sitting in the seat, made the decisions at the collegiate level, and that's still probably a long term goal of mine. So that's probably what set the my interest level to go in this career path, was to be be the guy in charge of the department. And I started in the fundraising side of it just because I was told to get into one of the external units or departments within an athletic department because it's the quickest route to get there. People never have enough money. They always want more. So you're always out asking or trying to raise money for the student athletes experience. And so that's always been a driving force behind what I do. But I would say, yeah, wanting to be an athletic director and then moving the needle and trying to get hone my craft in the fundraising side and gaining more revenue for the department is one way that I thought that would get me there sooner.
Okay. Yeah. More of a question for me, like, how would you say, what type of schooling did you have to have? Was it like 4 year or more? Like, what type of schooling did
Yeah,
you go to?
I got my 4 year degree, and my undergraduate degree was in sports management. But I think any kind of management or business background is fine. College athletics is becoming a big business nowadays, so it's changed a lot in my 20 years in the industry. So I would say any kind of administration or sport management degree or any kind of business degree is going to lead you down that path. I'm a big proponent of additional education. I went and get back and got my master's degree while I was at KU after I graduated my undergrad. I think that's important, only for the sheer fact that it puts you in a different category when you're competing for jobs. So I think that's important as you kind of grow your career. And then I also think while you're in school, it's good to get just get experience. And you may not get paid for it. You may just have to volunteer your time in the department or try to get experience other places to build a resume to when you go out and try to get that first job. I really do think, and this goes back to what I said before about growing up in Elkhart, but I think your first job is your hardest one to get. And then once you get that job, you can show them through your work ethic and your passion that you're going to do well, and you can continue to move on and upward from there. But I think that first job is one of the more difficult ones to get.
Hmm. So on that first job, where was your first one, and like where your places have you gone since then?
Yeah. Like I said, I finished my master's degree at KU, and I was actually working in academic services while I was in grad school in the athletic department of Kansas, and loved it because you have a lot of interaction with the student athlete at that point. But when Dr. Frederick told me about my direction and the career path I should go, if I really want to boost my career and work on the external side, I took a postgraduate internship at a place called James Madison University, which is in Harrisonburg, Virginia. Never been there. Didn't know anything about it. I applied for the job and luckily enough, got a interview and received the postgraduate position. So moved out there, didn't know anyone, and it was probably one of the best moves I've ever made. I still have long lifetime friends from my time there, coworkers that I had while I was there. I worked there for a year and then got hired on full time, and then from there I worked there for another year at JMU, and just through connections in the industry that of a gentleman that worked at JMU, got hired to move to Las Vegas and work at UNLV. And so I worked there for a couple of years and really enjoyed my time there. I'd never been to Vegas before moving there. So it was definitely an interesting adjustment moving from Harrisonburg, Virginia to Las Vegas, Nevada. And it was great because I had to change the way I had to adapt to the community. Every community is a little bit different. Every alumni base is a little bit different. And definitely Vegas was a different animal compared to places I've been before. So it was good. My wife and I had our first daughter while we were in Las Vegas, and just from a personality standpoint, that wasn't where I wanted to raise my daughter. So decided to make another move and move to Norfolk, Virginia, at a place called Old Dominion University, and they were starting football. They'd had it 50 years ago and they wanted to bring it back. So they wanted me to help build out a fundraising team and kind of work on the ticketing side to bring back football at Old Dominion. And it was a huge success. Was there for 2 years before football started. And then for a year and a half after football got going. And we had massive crowds, sold out stadiums. It was just a really good place to be at the right time for me. And then from Old Dominion, after the football startup had kind of ran its course, I took a job at West Virginia University. I had worked at smaller schools most of my career and wanted to go to a Power 5 level, and had some people that I knew from my time at JMU that were working at West Virginia that hired me, and started as a major gift officer, just on the road, a kind of a road warrior, going out trying to raise money in support of the department, and kind of worked my way up to running our major gift office, and then eventually ran the entire department, the fundraising department, and did that for 5 years, and was at West Virginia for a total of 11. So about 2 years ago, had the opportunity to come to Nebraska, and chose to take that opportunity, and it just worked out well. That's a great school. It was I have 3 daughters, so my oldest daughter was a freshman, so she wasn't really happy with me when we initially said we were going to be moving, as I'm sure you are, as you just went through the moving process. So it's always a struggle, but adapted very, very well. Lincoln's a great town. It's a big place in terms of the school and our sports programs, but it's been a really good move for us. And so I've been doing that and been overseeing the fundraising department and the ticket office for the last couple of years here.
So you said you had a wife and 3 girls, you said?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Well, how would you say it is like just juggling a family and a pretty important and high up job? Would you say it's like you get to see them a lot, or is it limited? Or
Yeah, I think you have to make it a priority, because your job can always take control of your schedule. All the different events that we do, all the different sporting activities, all the different sporting events that you go to. You just have to incorporate them in what you do. They have to be involved. They have to come to stuff. They have to come to games. You just have to incorporate them in your day-to-day role of your job. And I think that's a very, very much important. Now, don't get me wrong. There's things I miss. There's things that I may miss, a basketball game here or there, or a soccer game, or something that's going on. But for the most part, I think everybody's like that. There's a lot of family, people that have families in our department, and they understand that, and they know that there's going to be times where you need to get out of the office a little earlier and or do something different. But I think you have to incorporate your family and their schedules into what your schedule is, or you're never going to see them. So incorporating them into your job is a very important aspect of what I try to do.
so I'm assuming you enjoy your job. Seems like a pretty entertaining, fun job. What would you say is like the best part of your job? Like if someone was asking you, like, what would you say is this is the highlight of my?
Yeah, I mean, people think it's one of those jobs where you get to go and watch sports all the time, which you do get to go to a lot of sporting events, which is great. But I would say seeing just the positive effect that our department can have on the overall department, from bringing in funds to help, our goal is to provide the best student athlete experience possible, and for our student athletes to want for nothing. in terms of having academics help, to having life skills, to the performance on the field or in the classroom. Just making sure that we do everything we can to provide a good environment for them. And unfortunately, or fortunately, money is the driving factor behind a lot of that stuff. So having an impact there is important, and that's what I like to see. Just making sure that we are doing everything we can to make sure our student athletes have a great experience.
So you said you've worked at many places and gone to bigger colleges, smaller ones. What would you say was like your favorite college, or which one you enjoyed the most?
Ooh, that's a tough question. They're all a little bit different, but I've enjoyed my time at all of them. I had a connection or knew somebody at most of the places or the jobs that I've taken. So, as I've moved on in positions and I've had a little bit more responsibility. With more responsibility comes more time and more commitment to things and overseeing people. But I love every place I've been. Every school I've been to has been fantastic for different reasons. So I wouldn't say I could pick one specific one, because all of them have been the right place at the right time for me to be. And I've had I still stay in contact with all the people that I've worked with at each one of those stops.
So, final question here.
Yeah.
What would you say would be your words of advice for a high school student like me, or just anyone that's planning on going down the career path like you were on?
Yeah, I say get involved, be active, not only in high school but in college. Just get involved and be active. And like I said before, I think kids growing up at Elkhart have a leg up on a lot of people because of the work ethic and driving force behind kind of what they've grown up to have. So I think just having that work ethic and striving to be successful is the most important thing, and no matter what aspect of life you go into. So I would say that, but just be active, be involved, and try to do things to put you in a position to be successful once you graduate high school or once you graduate college.
Thank you for your time, and thank you for the advice and help that you've given me and other people that might see this video.
No, that's fantastic, man. I wish you the best of luck. If anything I can do for you, don't hesitate to reach out.
Yep, I will. Thank you. Thank you.
All right, take care.
Take care.